Hey everyone, Courtney Gruenholz back here with a new video. So I'm done talking about my Fear Street books. So I guess it's time to go back to talking about my own books again. So last time I talked about the second book in my Heartsong Saga reprise Heartsong novel, which was the sequel novel to Heartsong, the first novel in the Heartsong Saga. So next up is the third book in my series. It's called Heartsong Rebirth. So it takes place about 20 years in the linear timeline following the second book. So there are gaps in between there that are going to be filled with some of my little mid-quill stories that I'm in the process of writing, which I hope to get published very soon. I'm just finishing up some details. So, but this takes place 20 years after Heartsong Reprise. So, and again, I try to do kind of like this kind of sunrise, sunset thing because it's Heartsong Rebirth. But before, I just couldn't get the right image that I wanted, or it wouldn't let me do it. It let me do it on my Kindle book version of this. So eventually maybe I might try to get these, like a second edition, I guess. So, but it takes place 20 years after the second novel in the series, and it kind of focuses again on Cataluna and Howard and Nancy Richardson, but it also introduces new characters. Oh, by the way, I have on my little Barracuda heart t-shirt that I got from TeePublic. So, Heartsong heart shirt. So, I am getting some Fear Street shirts though, so I'll probably sport them in videos, even though I'm not going to be talking about my books anymore. So, anyway, I get off track very easily because I ramble. So, it also centers on some new characters. On the back of the book, it mostly talks about two of the new characters that it features that kind of tie in to the first two books. So we have the Morgan twins who moved to Seattle with their family. Their father is a Marine man, kind of like Anne and Nancy Wilson's family. They were a Marine family. So they moved to Seattle for their father's new job, and the twins are Carrie, a boy. His name's Carrie. His name's Charles, but Carrie is his nickname because Charles is also his dad's name. So Carrie and his sister Chantal move there with their family, and they move into the house that used to belong to Howard and Nancy Richardson of Cataluna. So they start school there, and they end up meeting some of the kids that already go there, and then there's another new student in school. Her name is Alana Lohan, and her family is a Navy family, and they move there as well. So Carrie and Alana meet, and sparks fly, and they're attracted to each other, and they meet some new kids there, and they meet this one girl named Romy. She's kind of like a tough kind of girl, so I kind of always think of her kind of like Faith from Buffy is the way I was thinking about when I was writing it. So she's like this tough around the edges kind of girl, but she and Alana become friends, and they also learn from the popular mean girl Jess, that there are rumors that have been going around about Cataluna and Howard and Nancy Richardson for like the past couple of years. We already know that Nancy is a witch because we learned that in the second book. So a couple of spoilers just in case you haven't read my books yet. So we learned that she's a witch, but then we also learned that Howard Richardson has been missing for like 18 years and nobody knows what happened to him. So everybody thinks that because his wife is a witch, she got rid of him for some sort of immortality kind of spell. So when Cataluna broke up, they went off somewhere, they came back, he disappeared. So everybody has that as like the local legend of town. So they go out to Julian's farm, Nancy's uncle, where Nancy and Howard moved to after they moved out of their house and left for Australia, and their house got sold. So they go out there to the house with all the kids except for Romy and her boyfriend Mac and their friend Ethan. They all go out there, and Alana ends up meeting Nancy Richardson, finds out she's a witch, but we also learn that Alana is not a witch, but she is a telekinetic. So she starts going underneath Nancy's wing to be trained how to do her powers, and it ends up pulling everybody back together again. So we get some characters from, the first two main books come back. We get some new characters. We get new villains. But basically kind of almost, again, a little bit of a rehash of like the first book with, Carrie and Alana now kind of being like Howard and Nancy, and Jess being like Belinda, and Romy kind of being like Nora. So everybody has like a parallel from like the first two books. So, and then of course, Nora and Garth come back. So I don't have Phil and Jennifer come back. I actually have both Phil and Jennifer having been, gone, passed away for a while. So just to kind of keep the group a little bit more tight instead of introducing like all these new characters and all these old ones. But again, Rebirth, so kind of like the whole thing starting all over again with a new generation and kind of actually like closing it out. So technically, this being like the third book in the series, it's actually the final book out of my entire Heartsong Saga. So after like my prequel, which we'll talk about next video, so not counting the prequel and these little midquel stories, this technically is the last book of my Heartsong Saga. So there'd be no more stories about it. So all the new characters they introduce, there aren't going to be any new stories about them. I kind of make the ending clean cut, but as a whole, it's the ending of my Heartsong Saga with this book, even though there is a prequel and all these midquel stories that I'm writing. So again, I do throw romance elements in there. There's supernatural elements, with magic and paranormal things, of course, the witchcraft, and a little bit of like, I don't have too many spoilers, but like werewolves. I talked, I guess in my last video I didn't maybe clarify too much on the books, because I might actually start making videos that would be completely filled with spoilers and go over the entire book. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who wants to actually try to read the books that you can get on Amazon in paperback or get on the Kindle. I guess the Kindle would be much cheaper. So, but I just didn't want to spoil everything. But if you'd like me to talk in depth about my books and in depth about the story and be completely filled with spoilers, let me know in like the comments if you would be interested in that, because I can do that after I get done talking about my prequel book and then my other book that's a non-Heartsong Saga book that I wrote, which I will be talking about in my videos. But I can go back and do like full-on videos that will spoil everything. So, but that's basically what the third one is. So it's the closure to the whole Heartsong Saga. But I just, I like writing stories about, Cataluna and Howard and Nancy's relationship. So I just kept writing stories, and then once I ran out of ideas, it's like, I guess I'm going to stop writing stories about them and try to focus on other kinds of books. But, and again, also when I wrote most of these books, I was in a long distance relationship with my husband at the time, who was my boyfriend. So I, didn't get to see him a lot. So like the romance plot was, going in my head a lot, and I just wrote my, I guess I call it my magnum opus of books. So don't worry, I have other books in mind that have nothing to do with these characters. So, because I already have one book out that's not related at all to the Heartsong Saga. But, it's just easy to write for these characters. I mean, I created them. They're my creations. I love them. I like writing about them. And it's kind of sad that I can't think of anything else to write. Like, again, because most of the story is kind of, I guess some people could say it's a rehash. Kind of, you get the same plot points a lot, but that's just what it is. So, but yeah, there's romance elements in it, but I think it could just be, general fiction with romantic elements. I think anybody, again, could read my books. I mean, as long as, this is a pretty kind of neutral cover, I think anybody could read it. So, I mean, what's the saying? Never judge a book by its cover. So, I mean, I have it as romance, but, that's probably the main theme that you would get from it. So, because, when you go to the bookstore, they always have, they're like general fiction, but then they have like specifically romance and westerns and, sci-fi and fantasy, and I just don't think I could ever like pigeon my stories into one genre. So to cover a blanket, it would be like general fiction. But yeah, my books probably would be in the romance section, or they would maybe be like in, I don't know, paranormal romance sections. And of course, my book Blood Embrace that I wrote is I have it as adult fiction, because it's a lot different from these Heartsong novels that I've been writing. So I ramble. That's pretty much what I do. Again, I never like spoiling things from movies and books for people who have never read them or watched them. So again, if you want me to go like in depth about my Heartsong Saga and the world that I created with it, I can do that. You just have to let me know, because I am my own editor and my own publisher. So I don't have the cash to do anything spectacular except make these videos and use word of mouth, Twitter, Facebook, pretty much all I got, being a mom and taking care of my daughter. So, but I guess that's the best place that I can end this video. So next time we'll talk about my prequel novel, Star-Crossed of my Heartsong Saga. And until I see you next time, I hope you all have a good day and have a good weekend.